Hey everyone, it's Alexa with Grace and Cherish. It's a new day and we are out in the garden. The last few days we have been getting ready. It is March. We are about a month out from when we'll get to start planting outside a bit more. And so, well, not a bit more, basically at all, because we haven't done any planting outside. We've done all our planting inside, starting our seeds and everything. But in about a month, we'll get to really start bringing stuff outside, and we're very excited about that. So we wanted to take the time to figure out, getting up our arch trellises like you see behind me. We have another cattle panel up for our tomatoes. We're trying to get the beds, get the compost and other things on our beds, all of that stuff, the preparation. So we're really excited. I'm really excited just to have this up. This was a vision that I had once I learned that people grew going up, because again, I'm a new gardener. I didn't have much vision for the different ways people would grow. And so when I learned about arch trellises, I was like, yes. As an interior designer in my own home, we have a lot of arches. And so that was, when we inherited the home, that's what was there. So I used that as a jumping off point for how I designed inside our home. So I was excited to bring that outside and how it both offers form and function. Functionally, I'm gonna be having green beans that grow up this trellis, and also cucumbers, but it also relates to the design. So I get excited about that because I love it. One of the other things that I was really excited about was having a view through the arches that will go, actually at the end of that will be a cutting garden. We'll have like a 4-foot path and then there will be a cutting garden. I have a few beds that I'm using for cut flowers, because again, with Philo, with the reason why we bought our 10 acres out here outside of Atlanta, it was so that we could create beautiful and hospitable places. That's how I look at interior design. That's how I look at what we do with this land that we live on. We want it to be a place for connection, for people to connect deeper to God, to themselves, to others. So we're doing all this work in the garden. We're trying to learn how to grow food well and other things because we want to use it for our community, for our family, and for a community and people that come here. We want this to be like a retreat. It's not quite a retreat center, but similar to that, where we can really offer as much as we can. And that includes good quality, organically grown food. So back to the arches. One of the things, we knew that we were gonna grow beans. We knew we were gonna grow beans and we were gonna grow cucumbers. We have 3 trellises right here. This one will be beans, the middle one cucumbers, and the one on the other end beans. What we're doing are pole beans. So we'll have, it's blue lake pole beans, and then I have a bean, it's a purple, it's like a royal purple burgundy, something like that. It's a purple bean. And then there's a Kentucky yellow bean. They're all gonna be longer, pole beans are all longer beans. They'll dangle. Very excited for that. So we're gonna have them grow. The way that we decided to do it is raise the trellis up. You don't have to do that. You could have put it right in the ground, and I'll share some pictures of how, Brandon put the T-posts in. It was really easy. I was so excited. We decided to go 2 T-posts instead of 1, but put the T-post in, and we leaned the cattle panel against it, and I would hold it there, and he would put the other T-posts in to make sure that they lined up. It was important to us, and I'll take the camera down for this. Okay, so you can see here, we raised the cattle panel up a bit. I'll scoot back. So you can see it's off the ground, and then we have the 2 T-posts that are holding it. And again, the same on this side. What we were trying to do is ensure that we matched these poles up so that they were, just that everything was equal. And then we used these, and I can put the name of them in the video because I can't remember. I want to say like T-fork. I can't recall, but when we bought these T-posts from Tractor Supply, which all of the cattle panel, the T-posts are all from Tractor Supply, they gave us these as well. But I'll put the official name of them there. So these have been awesome. You could use zip ties as well, but we really liked using these. So again, on all of the cattle panels, I'll do a shot down here. You can see they're all raised off the ground. You could put them right into the ground, but because Brandon is 6'3", and I'm only 5'4", but he's 6'3", and I really wanted it to be a taller arch where he could easily walk under it, knowing that we were gonna have beans that would be hanging down. And so I wanted to have enough clearance for his head, but also for the beans to grow. And I just like having the larger arch. When you look at this view, I love the trees behind it. There's also cow manure behind it, or not cow, horse manure, compost. You can see right there, but just look at the trees. It's just so pretty. And then having the flowers, I'm really excited for how that's gonna look in a few months. But as I mentioned, so beans are gonna go here and they will vine up. And that's how I'm looking to do that for the beans. And then over here with cucumbers. So we have a couple of variety of cucumbers that we're gonna do. We'll plant 2 on this side, and then we will also plant 2 on this side. And so we'll have those also vining up. I grew cucumbers in the past and they did perfectly fine, but I didn't realize that just the way that they like to grow and that you can grow them on something like this cattle panel. So I'm excited to try that method. A lot of what we're doing is experimenting and trying to figure out different ways that we can grow, because we want to be able to grow well and to grow as we continue expanding phyllo and the things we're able to offer. We want to be able to grow more food to be able to use it for that. So that's why we're really trying to invest in learning different growing styles and learning them well now. So so these are the arches. And then over here, in this bed, we're gonna have a lot of bell peppers, and I was laying out a couple tomato cages just to get a feel for how many we could fit. I did my garden planner and it told me 19 plants, but it didn't, or 18, but it didn't account for using tomato cages. So I wanted to lace them out to see how many I could get now that we actually have the cattle panels in and in the bed down. So I ended up actually having to expand this bed by about 2 feet. So it's about a 6-foot width bed now. And I did that so that I could have more room. I was like, we have a huge walkway here. I might as well expand it a little bit and give me a little bit more room to grow the peppers and make sure everything has the space it needs. So that is part 1. Let me flip the camera back around. Okay, now this cattle panel here is where we're gonna be growing our tomatoes. This one, we kept it horizontal. So the cattle panels are all 50 inches by 16 feet. We bought extra so that we could cut one and then add it on, because this is a 20-foot bed. So bird behind me. So we were about 4 feet shy of filling the bed. So Brandon cut one of the cattle panels and we attached it, again using those same ties that we used for the arch panels, the forks there. So now we have our 20 feet, and we're gonna grow a couple different varieties of tomatoes. There's another bed we're also gonna grow some more tomatoes in, because our goal is we know we're not gonna can enough for the whole year, for our family for a whole year. We're a family, there's 6 of us. I'm not gonna fool myself into thinking I can do all of that right now, but I do want to learn to can. So what we're going to do is be very intentional in growing a lot of San Marzano tomato plants first. That's one of the big ones, because those are such good canning tomatoes. And so making tomato sauce and things, that's important to us because we do pasta once a week. Like, we like to have our tomato sauce and also pesto. So we are gonna grow those. And then we'll do a lot of cherry tomatoes, because those are my girls' favorite. They love to eat them, and I mean, they eat them so much. They need to have a couple of their own plants for that. And then we will do some beefsteak tomatoes, so we don't eat those a ton, but I do want to try growing them. Again, considering that we will be using this food for other people too. I'm trying to prioritize growing what my family eats first and getting good at that, and then sharing what we have of that. But I do want to learn, we won't eat a lot of beefsteak tomatoes, but it'll be good. I want to learn, because I think it's something common for us to share when we do our neighborhood gatherings. We like to invite our neighbors over and eat, or when we do different events and things like that. It's still good to have for those types of things. So we'll be growing some of those. Let me think. Yeah, those are the main things. It's cherry tomatoes, San Marzano, and then a couple of the beefsteak tomato variety. And then I have some different varieties within those. So that's what this is going to be. Then we did do 2 other arches, and those are at the front of the garden. So this is the west side of the garden. The raised garden beds that are behind me, I can turn this around. You can see, there you go. So you can see them. These are our raised garden beds. These are the OG. These are what we got last year when we first started gardening. They were free from a community garden. Let me see if I can move back and get a better view. It's really soggy out here today, y'all. So these garden beds are our introduction into gardening, which is really neat. I mean, they were free from a community garden because it was having to close, and they gave us some soil, and they've done us well. I mean, obviously they got us going. This is what started us, and we loved it. And so we're expanding by a lot because of all that started right here. So we are going to be growing a lot of carrots in these beds. We're going to have some bushes in those beds, raspberry and blackberry. We're going to have blueberry bushes in this area. Let me move the camera. Blueberry bushes are going to go, you can ignore this, are going to go in that corner. And then actually next to that corner, I haven't made the beds yet. I need to go get more cardboard. But that's where our corn and pumpkins will be. So we will have some corn and pumpkins on that end. We are figuring out our irrigation system and everything, but that when Brandon was doing the work to figure all it out, he's like, it needs to be over there. So we'll have the corn and the pumpkins on that side. But these raised beds, we'll have the bushes, then we'll have some chili peppers and some more bell peppers. Because again, bell peppers were the other thing. There was tomatoes, bell peppers that we really wanted to grow a lot of. We have a couple of varieties of bell peppers, coral bell peppers, lilac bell peppers, and then California sweet. We'll have a lot of California sweet bell peppers. So bushes, peppers, and intermixed and everything will be, I'm really interested in companion planting. So I've been trying to learn a lot about that. So we are relying heavily on basil and oregano and sage and other herbs like that to plant with, and along with planting different, like corn and pumpkins together. Great. We're trying to think through how can we put different things together to grow well. So we'll have that. We're also using marigolds and nasturtiums to help with deterring pests, among some other things, because we will not be using any pesticides or anything like that, especially with the health stuff that my daughter, one of my daughters has, that's just, we can't do that. So, and we don't want to. So we're really relying on other methods to figure out how to deter the pests and other things. So, let's see. If you have any tips on natural ways that you try to, people talk about neem oil, of course, with soapy water when there are different bugs and things, like those are things that, I've learned about. But if you have any tips, I love learning the different ways that people try to naturally and in non-toxic ways take care of pests and stuff like that that'll come. So 4x16 bed, lots of carrots. That's what we're gonna have there. Lots and lots of carrots. A purple carrot, and then the scarlet, I don't know how you pronounce it, Nantes, Nantes, that one. And then some peppers, and then that last bed over there is where we're having the kid garden. So the kids, it was gonna be in a different location, but now it's this raised bed. The kids get to pick whatever they want to grow, and it's gonna be their opportunity to learn and practice and see what comes. So excited for that. Let's continue on in the garden. I'm trying to think of the best way to move this camera. Let me see if I can do it like this. Okay, so you can see the other arches. Let's go a little bit closer. So here, these birds are wild. They're saying so much. All right, can you see? Okay, so these are the two arches. Now I'm on the opposite, that's the entrance, right? So these arches I'm so happy about because I really wanted to grow gourds. I love autumn. I think it is my favorite season. And I always love seeing gourds and the way people decorate with them and all that. And I thought, why don't I just grow some? So we have some seeds from last year and then I got some more this year. Gonna plant them, also have them vine. And so I'm gonna see how it goes. We'll see. And then the first arch, I was also originally gonna do 2 arches full. It would be about 4 or 6 plants of gourds, but instead we're gonna go ahead and put flowers, vining flowers on that first arch. And since it's the entrance, we'll have the vining flowers. And I'm looking for a variety that would offer greenery. So even if the flowers aren't in bloom, it would still be green and still offer that some beauty in that way. So when you walk in, that's what would be there. So the goal is I haven't actually figured out what that's gonna be because that wasn't the original plan. It was actually my original plan, and then I thought, no, prioritize the gourd, and then Brandon brought it up the other day and was like, you should do it, go for it. And I was like, you're right. so we're gonna go for it. So anyway, that will be flowers in the first one, binding flowers, a beautiful way to let people, introduce people in and enter in and all that. And then the beds next to it are, let me move this over. So you can see the hoops that we have up here. I'm actually going to, I'm gonna have Brandon share how he did this. So making a low tunnel, we made our hoops higher. They're definitely higher. So, or taller, because I have a bit of several tall plants that I'll have. So we have 2 cutting gardens. I mentioned the one by the first arch trellises I showed you. It's gonna be on that side of the garden. And then this is the other cutting garden. And then the one in front of it, I'm trying to do, again, a test. The one in front of it's gonna be, I'm taking seeds and I'm kind of scattering them with some thought, but mostly just putting them out there and seeing what grows. A little more wild, a little more free. This one is where I'm making our low tunnel and all of that stuff, and we are getting our shade cloth that we'll have for these and also some of the vegetables and fruit plants. But this one is gonna be more systematically done. And I have been researching a lot from Erin at Floret Farms and researching how she even does her spacing with a 9x9 spacing for like plants like zinnias, and based on what spacing they need to grow well and things like that. So this is the one I'm gonna experiment more to see how does it work when I do that. And I got some jute trellis netting instead of like the plastic netting that you might use for flowers to give them some support. I decided to go with the jute one. Again, just trying to eliminate plastic in the garden. And so I have that on order and coming. We'll put that up there and just figure out good ways to support. I'm kind of copying what I see flower farmers do, and I'm going to do that here and just get a feel for what the work that it takes to do that. I don't know if we'll ever expand into being, doing more flower farming. I love flowers. I would love to do that. I'm learning a lot about them, and they're amazing to me. And I think for what we're wanting to do here, it makes a lot of sense to have a lot of floral beauty. And that I think that brings an element of peace and rest and joy. And that's what we want for here. So I'm very, I feel very motivated to learn how to flower farm well, but we don't know for sure what we're gonna do with that. So we're starting with 2 cutting gardens where I'm being intentional and more systematic. And then I'm also having some areas where I'm just toss the seeds, see what comes. So that's what we're doing here. I am going to break really quick now though and take you to our basement where Brandon put these together, because we were gonna buy a hoop bender, which are great, those are wonderful, but because we're doing so small scale, we only need 10 of these, this cutting bed and then another one. These again are 4 foot by 20 foot beds. He ended up saying, he watched some YouTube videos and he's like, I can DIY this. So he did. This is the result, but I'll show you the process. So we're gonna pause, go watch the process, which is good timing because one of my kids is calling me.
So, in lieu of buying a EMT bender,
yeah, the hoop bender.
The hoop bender, right?
Yeah.
In lieu of buying that, I think there's one for Johnny Seeds for like $125.
115, yeah.
115,
for the 4 foot.
Looks like a great product, but I didn't feel like spending that much money. But I felt like getting it done today. So I saw some people on YouTube making something similar to this. So I just made my own rendition of it. So essentially all I did is I took a piece of scrap wood, a couple other pieces of scrap wood down here, and a bunch of screws, and I made a 4 foot diameter, 2 foot radius arc with pencil. You had to do it a couple times to get it right. But then I just put a bunch of screws along that radius there, on the arc. And then I put a bunch of screws near the front, because this is where the most loading is. I had to back it up with a piece of wood. And then right here is where the EMT actually goes in. So what I did, I messed up on one, but I measured about 18 inches from each end, and that's where I put the first screw at and make the bends. So this is a 10-foot piece of, I think it was a 1/2 inch or 3/4 EMT. I forget which one it is.
We did 1/2 inch.
Was it 1/2 inch?
Yeah, we did 1/2 inch.
Yeah, okay.
So you measured, you said 8.
So what I do, I just take 18 inches from each end.
Okay.
And I just make a line on it, a mark on it. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I mean, ours probably won't turn out quite as pretty as the Johnny Seed one maybe, but don't do the same job, I'd say. But anyway, so you do 18 inches there. I'm not going to mark this one because I'll just measure. slide it into the little jig there. Mark about 18 inches. And then what you do is just take the other side of it and just bend it.
All right, let me back up so I can show.
Okay. You want to try to keep it all in the same plane. That's one of the, I'm going to come right around to there. So
You're gonna come right around to here, so
your best spot's probably over here by the doorway.
okay, I'm gonna move the camera
Yeah.
by the doorway.
The best thing to do is just, that's what I do is bend it. Try to keep it on the same plane, which down here is a little bit tricky. It'd be better if I did this outside, but because I'm just let it bend right here. I got to just bend it around there. Makes it okay. Put the hoop here and wait till it's got the last screw. Once that's the last screw, right about there. Kind of let go. And then you do the other side too. Pull it out. And flip it over to my 18-inch mark on this side.
Flip it over to your 18-inch mark on that side, okay?
18 on the other side, 18 on this side. Make sure I got 18 inches. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Yes, I don't think it is. And then you just keep it flat again on this piece of wood. Just keep bending it. Touch the last screw there. The only issue with what I made here is that, so you get a hoop, it's a pretty reasonable hoop. The only issue is that since these bars, they bend back a little bit, I was trying to get the 48-inch diameter. I didn't quite get that. So what I ended up doing, I just put it down to the bottom and just bend it a little bit more. And then I double check my measurement when I tape measure, and this is right about there. You can get, here's your hoop. Got a little bit of pitch on the top because I had to do that last step there, but it's a pretty reasonable hoop for a pretty reasonable amount of money. So.
That's awesome. Nice. Okay, that's good. That's awesome. Wow. And that was pretty quick.
Pretty quick. It takes a couple minutes.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are now back outside. You see the trellises? Let me see if I can get it up there. You can see those behind me. All right, so there is one last thing that I really wanted to show in regards to things that we are doing here in the garden. So I'm going to see if I can prop this up, or maybe I'll hold it. So that's more where the blueberry bushes is. This space right here, this is at the end of that arched opening. This area is to me what I am so excited about. And let me set this down. Okay, so here's the thing about this area. That doesn't seem like much. You got my neighbor's shed behind us. It's not the most beautiful, but it's okay because this is where I'm imagining that we're gonna put our table, and I had this whole vision of you walk in and now we have the flowers vining the arches, and this right here, like when you look at the end of this area, in fact I'm gonna take a picture so you can just see it as I'm talking about it. You look through the arches and you see the end of the garden, which is where I'm at now, and yes, my neighbor's stuff is right behind us, but what I would have are a table and chairs, and for me that symbolizes this sense of like you see it, table and chairs you want to walk to, and it's at the end, so it forces you to go through the garden, and I love that, drawing people in. Again, this is where the interior design piece of me comes in, and I'm just like, yes, you gotta draw people in, invite them into the garden, because I think it is so special and beautiful, and I see this as such an invitation, especially in communing with God. And so you come in and there's you see the table at the end, and the table is an invitation. And especially again, as a follower of Jesus, and you read the book of Revelation, which people get scared of that book, but it's so beautiful because it talks about the banquet table and inviting people in and getting to eat and be at peace and in hope, and like it's just so beautiful. And that's what I get excited about when I think of a table here. Like there's so much connection to a table, inviting people in, hospitality, that's what we're all about. Interior design for me, that's what it's about. It's about the invitation to bring people in to be with you. And I know this isn't like all garden neat talk or whatever, but I have to share it because for me, I can't separate it from what I'm doing in the garden. So I was thinking, to have a table at the end, and there's all this symbolism, and I know having a table is like not revolutionary. Lots of people have tables or chairs in their garden. But for me, it was beautiful because it's this reminder of having a table that's that invitation to come and rest, but for other people, but also for myself, for Brandon, for our kids, to come and sit. And we observe the Sabbath, and we are imperfect at it. That's not how I grew up. I didn't grow up doing that or making rest a regular part of life. And that's what we want, is a rhythm of working hard and resting well and working from our rest. And so we have to, we said we should really start observing the Sabbath and practicing that, ceasing our work and enjoying and delighting in what we have done, and also trusting in God for what He is doing and will continue to do. We are so thankful that God invites us to partner with Him in creation. That's why I think I get so jazzed about the garden. And I didn't grow up gardening, but realizing wait, I can be a part of creation? That's amazing, it's so awesome. And even with interior design, I'm like, I can create beautiful places for people to come and sit and rest and be and to also commune with you, Lord, because our homes are such sacred, special places that are meant to be for us and for others. We should be keeping them as a refuge for ourselves and also sharing them with other people, inviting them in it's just, anyway, I get really excited, clearly. But when I was thinking about the garden table, I was thinking about how having it in this location specifically, because it is a view, and I'll take a shot of it so you can see. It's a view to the rest of the garden. And so that literal picture of God resting and enjoying creation, resting from a very, very small scale compared to, creating universes. But getting to sit and rest and enjoy what God has given myself and Brandon and the kids the opportunity to participate in growing. We get to grow and interact with creation, with the bugs and the birds, which you can hear everywhere, right? They're eating the insects that are around here. The bees are pollinating, and we all know this world needs bees. Bees are awesome for the environment. We can add our little small part. And so I think it's so neat that you can just sit, I'm envisioning, sitting and watching and just taking in. And I might be tempted to want to weed this thing there, or, let me fix this thing there. But the challenge for me will be, no, you have to stop and just observe. Just enjoy what already is. We can always work. We can work ourselves to death, and people do. But there's an invitation to rest. And that's what this table is for. It's this invitation to rest and remember who is the one that's working on our behalf always, who does it perfectly, who cares for us so deeply. And that's what I'm just excited. And then that reminder that there is a banquet table that we will all have for those of us who believe in Jesus, who call on Him as Lord. We will get to be at a banquet table and be in perfect rest for eternity. And so, deep, I know, but that's what I from the jump when I was envisioning expanding the garden, that was the thing that was on my mind, was you have to have a place for the table. You have to do it, and just a reminder of rest and the goodness of enjoying. And I hope that can be an encouragement to people too, to pause and enjoy the things that they've made. We made it a practice with our kids where when we Sabbath, we say, what's something that you've done this week that you're proud of, that you can look back on and be yeah, I did that. I did that, I want them to be excited and grateful. And I think that changes our ability to be content. I think it changes our ability to be grateful, and gratitude does produce joy, and it produces a calm and a peace in the midst of, instead of fear. And I think I can operate in a scarcity mindset and out of fear. And I feel that is an antidote to it. And it's a practice that helps me to choose abundance, because there is so much good. There is so much good and so much opportunity, even in the midst of a lot of bad, because there are a lot of hard things. And I think being people who can seek to search for where there is joy and hope to hold on to is so important. We need that in this world. And I want to be that kind of person. And even on this YouTube channel, I want to be that kind of person. So if you're still listening, thank you. I'm so glad. That's awesome. I'm gonna bounce out of here. It's starting to rain a little bit more, but I just want to say, so glad you're here with me today. I pray that this was a blessing to you. I hope that you are doing things in your garden and having fun. Tell me, what are you doing in March? How do you prepare? What does this month look like for you, wherever it is that you live? I know that different zones and things, some of you might be like sitting under blankets of snow, so it might be a little different. But I'd love to hear for you. And also, please know, you matter. You are of great, great value. You're such, if there's anything stealing that from you today that makes you doubt at all that you are a person of great significance, let me be one to remind you, you matter. Not more than others, not less than others, but together we all hold value and purpose, and we can offer good into the world. So I pray that we go and we do that. So whatever that looks like to you, stay hopeful, stay blessed. See you next time.